Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. This is Simon with AvaTrade, and I want to welcome you all to our weekly webinar. Of course, the special welcome goes for new people. We're starting our weekly webinar, Trading Prospects, Mapping Out Our Week Ahead. In a simple sentence, what we're trying to do here is create a plan for the week. And as traders like to say, you plan your trade, and then you trade your plan. This way you have a structure, you have a way of operating instead of just doing reactive trading and chaotic, impulsive trading. A few things about myself. My name is Simon Friedman. I'm a senior account manager with AvaTrade. I started my trading career almost 24 years ago, June 2000, when, as you know, the dot-com era, the bubble burst. So I did prop trading in a few Wall Street firms for about 11 years. And after that, I moved on trading in a different way, less stressful, I like to say it. And I also started to mentor and educate others. And currently, I'm very happy that I have a great opportunity to assist our customers at AvaTrade. The agenda, very simple. We go through indices, stocks, commodities, and Forex. We try to analyze things a little bit fundamentally. We also look at economic calendar, trying to see what we have coming up and what to expect as far as economic calendar announcements. Risk warning, you can find a full statement at avatrade.com website. Of course, what we do here, it's purely educational. We do not suggest any trades. These are the social media channels. You have Telegram, you have Twitter, or it used to be Twitter, now it's X. I miss that birdie. And you have a YouTube channel, which is my favorite, as I like to say. You have a lot of information there, updated, uploaded on daily basis. You have, excuse me, you have educational material, you have tutorials, you have webinars, including this one, so you might be watching this on YouTube. And if you are, please click on likes if you do like it. Feel free to share with your friends if you think they'll benefit from this. Also, subscribe and click on that bell so you'll be notified when new things are coming out. Okay, so here's the thing. If you remember, maybe last week or week before, we spoke about, as some analysts are predicting, or at least speaking about, a possible bubble burst in artificial intelligence. And this week we saw a huge fall in NVIDIA, as well as another stock that's involved in AI, it's a super microcomputers. So NVIDIA fell 10% and the super microcomputer fell 23%. So it was a huge impact on the indices. And just want to give you a few numbers that I got here. You know, we'll get there when we get to the stocks. So I just want to show you the impact as far as visual on the chart. Here's NVIDIA. And if you remember, we spoke about it. NVIDIA had 850 support. And we said that if it breaks below and closes below, we might see a continuation to the downside. That's exactly what happened there. Lots of pressure to the downside. Here comes the SMCI. I don't think we offered it. I just want to show it to you, the impact. It had 23% down. It had a high of 1229 a few weeks back and closed to 730. So those are the two affected, and the whole sector, AI sector, is being affected. Of course, there was a huge move to the upside percentage-wise, so this could be a normal profit taking. And we're going to have a bounce, or it could be continuation to some other levels. But if you see it on NVIDIA, let's bring up the MT5 here. You could see on NVIDIA, we were close below the previous correction support here, where the low was 771. And if we are continuing lower, we might see this low, this gap up, which is 742. And if that will be passed, that we might be retesting the low here before the move to the upside, which was 662.37. So that's NVIDIA. Okay. So that's as far as what really was a huge impact this week, and what every analyst is talking about, and every trader, I think. Let's take a quick look at what's waiting for us in the upcoming week, and a few words, especially for new people. This is the economic calendar. It's all public information. You can find it on our web trader or the mobile app. Also, you can find it any provider of this. You can just Google economic calendar. You can find it. What I do here, I just take out the high impact events, as you could see in red. There's so much more, and you can filter and choose what works for you or what's important for your trading and so on. And as I always like to stress, that knowing about the events is very important. Whether you use it or not, or try to predict it and place your trades, that's already secondary. Because the truth is, you don't want to get caught in an interest rate decision move or spike or NFP numbers or CPI numbers or any important numbers. It's good to know ahead, so you can stay away from those markets, or the opposite. You might like that high volatility into the earnings or into any announcements, so you can place your trades and so on. It's up to you, but just knowing it gives you more power and more control. Okay, so these are the things that are coming up next week. On Tuesday, we have PMI numbers from Germany and European Union as well. Then we have also PMI manufacturing and service PMIs from UK, and also US is reporting manufacturing and service PMI. So it looks like it's PMI day. Wednesday, we have CPI numbers from Australia, and it looks like it's all about inflation from Australia. Thursday, we have GDP numbers from US, very important. And just to remind us, the three aspects that the Feds are paying attention to, it's how the economy is doing, how the inflation is progressing, and how the unemployment is showing. So the GDP number definitely shows how the economy is doing. So that's what we're having this Thursday. Definitely important number for the Feds to build their next decision, or to plan their course of actions for the future. We have CPI numbers from Japan, and Friday we have that interest rate decision from Japan. Now, every time we come to interest rate decisions from Japan, there always hopes that they will increase, and last time we did have it, they finally went, as you could see here, to zero from a negative. That was the first increase in interest rates in 17 years. So some are analysts, traders, some are hoping that because of the inflation, because of the high dollar and the yields from the US, they said that Bank of Japan might continue to increasing the interest rate to bring the yen to the higher levels. Some are thinking that they will be limited by some interventions. So I guess we'll find out. In any event, Friday we have this decision from Bank of Japan, and interestingly enough, it's being followed by Thursday's CPI data. So we might see some surprises, but as of now, the expectation is no change. We have Chairman of Swiss National Bank speaking on Friday, And this is the important number, very important number for the Feds. They're paying very close attention to this, the core personal consumption expenditure. And that's also on Friday. So as you could see, we have quite a few events, important events for the upcoming week. And let's see how it plays out. Excuse me. Okay, so let's move now to let's move to the MT4, and we'll start with indices, and we'll see how it played out. Nasdaq was the champion to the downside. We'll start from that. You could see Friday we're down. Now we're talking about the numbers I'm giving you. It's not for the futures, it's for the cash, for the composite. So Friday there was a down day for 2%, and for the week Nasdaq was up, down 5.5%. And according to analysts here, it's the worst week since November 2022, and it's as far as Nasdaq here, fourth consecutive week to the downside. Dow Jones actually, here we see the futures. The futures were actually up on Friday. I think it was driven up by some banks. We'll take a look at the bank sector in a moment. Banks were doing good. JP Morgan bouncing a little bit, others as well. So Dow Jones did much better for the week, and S&P 500 down 3% for the week. And of course, we'll be watching what's happening this week with the things coming up. And I think the most focus will be put into the AI stocks. As we mentioned, the NVIDIA is going to be really, really, really super watched. And I just did a little bit of research here. So the magnificent, I'm still having a hard time pronouncing this word. It's really funny. The Magnificent Seven, the seven stocks, Tesla, Apple, Microsoft, NVIDIA, Amazon, Google, and Meta, which is Facebook, they together lost $950 billion from their capital market cap this past week. That's a lot. And also the research, I looked into it. So this is the biggest loss. The one before was 872 billion, and that was lost in January 2022, according to Dow Jones market data. So just to give you the number, Tesla was down almost 2%, 1.92%. We'll just go through them, and I will share a few things. So Tesla was down 1.92%. The stock's been really, really selling. Few things that I found about Tesla, something that new. It looks like the Chinese company, one of them, forgot the name, is bypassing Tesla, or at least for a moment it did, in sales. And another thing, that Tesla just recalled thousands of Cybertrucks. There's some technical issues there, so they made a recall. I think 40,000 vehicles, maybe. I might be mistaken, but I think that's the number. So that's Tesla. Apple fell 1.2%, and as you could see here, there was a correction here in the week before, and that this whole week the stock's been selling heavily. So that's Apple. Microsoft went down 1.27%. Microsoft is also heavily involved in AI business, invested. Okay, so as you could see here, we are testing this quadruple already. So we're at the triple bottom here on Microsoft 131, January 31st, then February 21st, and then March 6th. Then we made an all-time high from here, retesting these levels, and then we're back to retest and sitting right on 100 moving average here. So that's Microsoft. NVIDIA, as we said, was down 10%. We already looked at it. Amazon also, as you could see, it's heavy selling 3 days in a row. So Amazon was down 2.56% and just lost 118 billion of its market cap this week. Alphabet or Google, here we go. It actually bounced a little bit towards the end of the day. So Google down 1.11%, erasing 41 billion from its market cap this week. So altogether, as we said, this group of magnificent, oh, I did pronounce it right, Magnificent Seven, they lost $950 billion collectively of the market cap. Okay, so something to think about. Now, another big thing was on Netflix. They reported a pretty good number of new subscribers. But what really spoke to stock, first of all, of course, there was a selling market as well. But what they announced that starting next year, which is 2025, they will stop reporting the number of customers. So I guess Wall Street didn't like that. They don't like to be in the dark. So on good numbers, but pretty bad news for the Wall Street, the stock gapped and continued. So we're almost at the 100 day moving average here, and we closed at around 555. It was a big sell-off. Down, almost caught up with NVIDIA, actually down 9%. They added, I'm just checking, they added 9.33 million new subscribers. And they say it was due in large part to its crackdown on password sharing. I guess it worked for them. You remember you could share your password with a lot of people, then they really start to block it and new people had to come in order to use it. Now, Intel continues falling. It's an indication that tech sector is really having an issue. As you could see, we are falling. And as I mentioned last week, I think what was a big issue there, the CEO was interviewed and said that the company is doing okay, but it will take time till we see good earnings. They're opening new plants and it costs billions and it takes 5 to 7 years to be profitable and so on and so on. So he promised like by 2027, by the end of the decade, Intel is going to be in great shape. I guess nobody wants to wait that long. Stock's been selling heavily even before this sell-off on the market. And of course, market sell-off just intensified it. So we are at $34. Intel is reporting actually this week. We'll get there. I'll share with you what stocks are reporting. So that's Intel. Banks, as I mentioned to you, there was a nice bounce in banks on Friday. I think that's what pushed Dow Jones higher. JP Morgan had a nice move to the upside and other banks as well. Goldman didn't do much. He had already its move with good earnings. Citigroup, 3 consecutive days to the upside. Bank of America had a good report, good earnings. The stock is up. We're actually on the way to possibly retest the recent highs here. So you could see the big banks are doing well. I ran across some articles that one was saying that the big banks are doing okay. There's some small regional banks might have issues because they are involved with a lot of mortgage activities, and mortgages are slowing a little bit because they level. I think another thing I saw this week that the 30-year mortgage rate just hit, I think, a high of 7.1%. I read it last week. That's a high percentage for Americans. So that's as far as some stocks. And another thing I just wanted to mention to you is Teva, as we've been watching Teva pretty much every week. We did come from the highs of around 14.39. We tried to hold the 13 area, and on Thursday we just broke below, and then Friday we gapped down and recovered. So we are close to 13. We closed at 12.83. So let's see if 13 becomes resistance, or maybe we'll jump above it again and start building up. Definitely we are watching it, and we should be watching the Friday's low of 1248 as immediate support, and it looks like it corresponds to the previous level where we started all this move around 12.5. So that's Teva, and that concludes our stocks review. I just want to mention a few. There's a big week. We have 150 stocks reporting out of S&P 500. So out of 500, we have almost a third reporting this week. So among them, you have on Tuesday, you have GM. Take a look briefly. GM didn't sell with the market, been holding here. So GM is reporting on Tuesday. Also, Tesla is reporting on Tuesday. We've seen the chart, it's been selling heavily. So let's see if there's anything coming out. UPS is reporting on Tuesday. And also Visa. So that's on Tuesday, a lot of things. Wednesday, we have AT&T reporting. Let's take a look. The stock's been bouncing, actually, going against the trend. Friday was a huge sell-off on the market. AT&T 2 consecutive days to the upside. They are reporting on Wednesday. Also, our famous Boeing is reporting on that day as well. We know it's all about technical issues, and they're pretty much in trouble lately. So let's see if the earnings will bring some good news to them. Probably not, because there were issues that caused probably drops in orders, or maybe not. We'll see. So that's Boeing reporting on Wednesday, as well as Meta and Alphabet. So we have Meta, former Facebook, or it is Facebook. Just Meta is a big corporation that has all those stuff under. So there was a sell-off, and we're sitting right on this support around 482.5. Let's see how that report will affect it, the earnings. Alphabet, Google is also reporting on Wednesday. One second, I just want to double check. So Wednesday we have AT&T, Boeing, Meta, and Alphabet. Okay. AT&T is on Thursday, just correct. Thursday is AT&T. And Friday, we have 2 oil stocks reporting, Exxon and Chevron. Now, as you could see here, we had a recent drop in oil. We'll get them, we'll get to commodities. And the stock's actually holding nicely. So we have Exxon is holding around here. Both Exxon and Chevron reporting on Friday. Chevron went up 3 consecutive days. Now, it doesn't look as strong as Exxon, but it is moving higher. And take a look what we got here. Sometimes I mention this. That's what the classical technical analysts are watching for. Sometimes they follow it and announce it on CNBC and other channels where we have 50-day moving average crossing above 200. That's something they called golden cross. And the opposite calls the dead cross, like here when it moves down. So it looks like it could be a signal for buying here. So we'll be watching definitely Chevron. So both Chevron and Exxon are reporting on Friday. Okay. All right. Let's come. You know what? We forgot to mention something important, which is China. It's the same thing. We're still fighting this level, 12,270, around that area. We still didn't have we had briefly close above it, and then we had the sell-off making a lower low. And then we came back to this level. So we'll be watching that. Okay, commodities. Start with crude oil, as we mentioned it already. Crude oil has been moving higher. If you remember, a few times we mentioned it, that's a high demand due to the consumer activity, and also because of what's happening in the Middle East. There was a fear of supply, low supply. And we did have a nice move. Then we had the consolidation here. And this past week, we had the sell-off on Wednesday. Thursday was a flat day. And then Friday, initially, we moved higher. There was, I think, the reaction of retaliation of Israel to Iran. And I guess things cooled down and the oil went down as well with it. So we'll be watching what's happening. Now, there are few things to pay attention to. Since Iran's attack, there's probably new sanctions coming. And also there's some political issues with Venezuela. So the traders, oil traders, are paying attention to those two things. Venezuela and Iran, how things will play out. And if there are issues continue and there will be some tightening or new sanctions, we might see, of course, logically less oil being produced. So that could be pushing the oil to the higher levels here. So we'll definitely continue paying attention to crude oil at these levels here. So you could see here, let's take 1 hour chart. Initial move in the early morning was to the upside. We passed around 86 and then we came right back. So we'll continue watching oil. Copper. Copper's been super strong. We are on the way. We're stepping really, really strongly. As you could see here, we have 4 consecutive weeks to the upside. And if we continue higher, we could be retesting this level around 457. That spike was about 2 years ago, May 29th of 2022. That's the week of May 29th. And let's see if we get there. High of 457.35. I'll just correct that. Okay. So copper is going higher. I'm just thinking, what could it be? Maybe some sanctions on metals in Russia, some new things that are coming in. Maybe as far as demand, China is not really booming, so I don't see that. Maybe there's a shortage of it, similar to cocoa. Let's just jump to cocoa really quick. Cocoa is just unstoppable. Take a look. Every time we think or thought that this might be the top, the thing is moving higher. That was a correction here, beginning of April, we went higher, with a big drop on the 17th. I think there was a change of contracts as well. And take a look, huge move, 3 consecutive days with the gap, moving higher, closing at the highs. So we'll definitely continue watching that. Of course, for new people that don't follow it, it's a typical fundamental issue here. Not the issue, but the situation when there's purely caused by huge shortage of physical supply of cocoa from the Western Africa. So as I said, we might come to the point where the buyers will just say, no, we're not buying it, and it will start shrinking the demand. Maybe then we'll have a turnaround, because as of now, it looks like on the supply side, there's no changes, still shortage. And I know some companies are getting out of business because of that, because they can't really compete. They can't stay in business because of the huge prices of cocoa. So we'll continue watching cocoa, definitely. Gold is continues stepping up. And I just realized that this is the highest daily close. The highest level we hit on the 12th of April when we hit 24.31 and a half almost. But we never closed this high. So on Friday, after moving to 24.17, almost 24.18, we retraced a little bit to the downside, and we did close at 23.90 to 0.15, and that's the highest close of all times. So gold continued to be safe haven here, definitely, because it doesn't react to the high 10-year yields. It doesn't react to a high dollar. It's moving actually higher with the dollar. So it just shows that it's being receiving funds as safe haven. As the stocks are selling, we can see more funds coming in. Also, as I mentioned to you, I don't remember last week or week before, there's actually a lot of physical purchasing of gold by central banks. So far, gold is holding very, very strong here. Natural gas, just to remind us what I mentioned, that we are in this cycle of exactly 4 years here. You remember I mentioned 2016 March, 2020 March, and 2024 March. So around March of 2016 and 2020, there was a nice reversal and move to the upside. Here it was a move, and then the strong move was the last time we were here in 2020. This is 2016. So 2020 was a huge move to the upside. We hit by August of 2022 the highs of 10, and then we just dropped. We dropped very fast, very intense. Then we had a small correction here, and so far we've been selling for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the 6th month. So far it's looking in green. Okay, so take a look at the daily chart. We did mention last week 171 if it holds. If not, we might go to 165. That's exactly what happened. We hit low 164.7, and then the last 3 days were really bouncing. So 3 consecutive green days, and we are having resistance on around the 50-day moving average. So let's see if we have any energy coming up, any power to come up and move higher from here. So far in this cycle here, we did reach the high of 194. That was on April 10th. So that's our immediate resistance to watch. If we do reach this level, we have to watch what's happening here. Otherwise, it's the channel, very tight one between 171 and 194. So you could see a lot of actions here. So far, this current level was tested 3 times, pretty much. Mid-March, that's end of March, and then again we retested on the 16th of April. We are holding this 165 level so far, and let's see what happens. Also, as you could see here, important to pay attention sometimes at the volume. As we went higher from this retest, the volume increased. So each time we went 3 days, we went higher. Each day was higher than the previous. Each day, the volume was higher than the previous day. Important to watch. So we could be seeing continuation. We're not going to be guessing or hoping. We'll just watch day by day. Okay, so again, 165 has been holding. The next resistance, immediate resistance around 194. And if we do break 165, we might dive and see this low of February, which was around 152. Okay, so that's as far as natural gas. All right, we'll move to Forex. We'll start with US dollar. Dollar has been very strong. We mentioned this 105.81, the level from which was sold back in November of last year. We are pretty much holding this level, as you could see. We came, first time we closed since November of last year, that was on the 15th. Next day we moved higher, then we dive below. There was no continuation to the down. The very next day we lifted up again. So as of now, 105.81 remains support, and the high of the 16th, 106.30. It's our immediate resistance, 106.305. And this right here, 106.3. As you could see, interesting. That's what the sell-off started, November, at exact level that we just retested. So if we are above 105.81, we might continue higher. Now this week, as we mentioned, we have a few things, including the, bring it back again, something that we mentioned here, core personal consumption expenditure. That's all the way on Friday. But before that, we have the GDP numbers. So let's see how the market will react to those numbers, and let's see how dollar reacts to that number. And it all depends on how they think the Feds will be acting in the near future. So that's US dollar. Of course, all the majors sold, by the way. Pound has been the weakest after all the majors. And I'm just going to read here something that I found on Barron's or Dow Jones, one of the data providers. It says right here that GBP declined on Friday as pound was negatively impacted by dovish comments from the Bank of England Deputy Governor Dave Ramsden. And I'm quoting, Bank of England Ramsden suggested that inflation might linger around the central bank's 2% target for the next 3 years instead of surging higher later this year, as projected by Bank of England latest forecast. So it looks like the things are changing and the inflation is slowing, and that could be that we might see that move from Bank of England to cut the rates, which of course would weaken the pound, and that's why you see pound is already reacting to it. So euro has been strong the past couple of days. It's bouncing from these levels, of course. Yen has been weak against the dollar, and it looks like we're setting up here for possible continuation. Nothing is stopping it for now, but again, we have CPI numbers and then the decision from Bank of Japan, so we might see some interesting developments. We did have a brief move to the downside here. It could be, well, actually a few of them. It could be the Bank of Japan is trying that. There are a few spikes here, as you could see. Some intervention. This is nothing new. They just do it out of nowhere sometimes. That's why you see these spikes, and sometimes a trader might get caught in these moves, or some traders might get lucky to actually enter the market around those spikes. In any event, you can't really predict them, but they are happening. And so again, back to daily chart. After this small correction, we are at the highs at the current move on dollar yen. One of the strong moves was euro against the pound. Just want to try to find it. Here we go. Strong move to the upside. Take a look. Huge range. The low was 0.8554 and the high 0.8614. Well, what's the 60 pips? 70. Anyway, we did close about 200 moving average. That's significant. So as you could see, pound is getting really, really, really weak. Now, yen, I would really pay attention. You know, every week I speak about yen because that move of Bank of Japan can happen. They like surprises, as you could see here. Swiss JPY is having a hard time breaking this 170.5. But few times with spikes here, 1, 2, and we just had one on Friday. The same thing here. You see the kind of intervention probably. This tails here on Aussie JPY, the same thing, CAD JPY, Euro JPY. So by the way, Euro JPY looks also like it's ready to break to the upside. Again, it's very tricky here. And of course, pound, even on the weakness of the yen, pound is lower than the yen on Friday. So what can we take out of this? Dollar is pretty much stable around the recent levels until we know further what the Feds are doing. We have data coming in. Bank of Japan is deciding this week with interest rate. So we'll see if we get any good news for the yen. And the pound is reacting already as the deputy governor of Bank of England is sounding much dovish than prior messages. So that's as far as the forex and Bitcoin. We are above this trend line that was dropped, I think last week or the week before. There was a sell-off. Interestingly enough, on the market sell-off, Bitcoin didn't go lower, so we could expect move to the upside. Let's see. In any event, we are above the trend line, and there was a lot of pressure on it. Some who are in favor of Bitcoin predicting huge prices here, and of course there are others that don't really value it. So I guess that's the whole beauty of trading, right? We have two camps. Maybe another one, they don't care about it. But in any event, it looks like buyers reacted here the moment we reach around 60,000. Let's see. Low, a little bit below 59,637, 59.5. So 59,500 almost we hit on the 19th. And since then we bounced. So I would watch this high of the 19th as a possible indication if we are going higher. So 65,464. That's the high of the 19th. So far, we're playing with this number, and we are above our trend line. Very simple one that we connected the previous two lows. And as you could see here, the volume continues to be high. A lot of activities there, and we are between the 100 and the 50 moving average. So if we start closing above 65, 65 and a half, that brings us back to this channel between 65 and 71, 72. And also the 50-day moving average could be another one to retest. Okay. All right. So once again, please subscribe and visit our channels. You have Telegram, you have Twitter or X, currently it's called, and a YouTube channel where you can find a lot of information, including this webinar. Maybe some of you are watching this at YouTube, so please subscribe, click on that bell, be notified, share with people, and please, I don't see a lot of feedbacks. Really appreciate if you write your thoughts, your feedback, and that would be great. So we really try to improve every time, and that would really help us. Okay, I want to thank everyone. And again, just a little bit of a reminder, it could be a lot that we spoke about today, but pay attention to AI stocks as they've been selling. Let's see if the sell-off continues, or maybe it was a regular kind of take profit. We have data coming this week, very important. Follow economic calendar, make the plan for your trading. And I want to wish everyone a good weekend. We still have a little bit left and get some energy for the upcoming week. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be a lot of actions. Be prepared, control your risks, be in charge of your equity. All the best. Take care.